macaron is perfect.
Can you tell what that is?
Yeah, of course. It's those little dessert trays they bring you in the very fancy hotel restaurants with like the macaroons and everything, and they place them on top of the table, and they have like little triangle sandwiches and beautiful chocolate macaroons. And no,
those are slippers.
Wow, the optical illusion makes those slippers look like something else. Okay, I know you hate this, but I will say it. This is You're Not Gonna Make It Proof of Life edition. A time for you and me to meet, to make sure that we're breathing in LA, which is not nothing, and to catch up with what we've been doing, watching, seeing that week. It's an opportunity for us to have a conversation. Hello, Helen.
Hello, Nico. I love touching base because weekends are especially tough for not just me. I think some people, right? Some people struggle with weekends.
Do you think that extends to both days, Saturday and Sunday, or it's more of a Sunday gloom?
So I've been trying to figure out if I'm good on Sundays. I think I'm better on Sundays than I am on Saturdays. On Saturdays, it's the complete freedom that I have that really messes me up. And Sunday, you're going back to your routine the next day, so you're a little bit better. So it's mostly just today. I have to just get through today.
Is there a pressure? I have an icon bouncing here. Is there a pressure for Saturdays for us to be fun? It's
yes.
Like, okay, this is the time where I have to represent the fun side of me that I've been neglecting.
I know.
I'm putting into this very painful box all throughout the week.
It's literally that. It's that. It's so
How do you create plans in advance for your weekend, or you just try to improvise and go desperate on Saturday morning?
I am so naive, and I think that I'm going to have plans for the weekend at some point. Like I'm going to get my friends are going to hit me up, and I'm going to have so many plans for the weekend. And then no one hits me up, and I just sit alone on Saturday, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I can clean and rest. And that's what I end up doing. Like I clean, I do the chores, like I try to catch up on some work. And then if I feel like it, I'll go to the movies or something and like try to get away from work. But it's not enough hours in the day.
In defense of myself, I want to say that you're not alone right now or cleaning. You are talking to me. So I want to bring that to the surface and highlight the importance of this podcast for your Saturday, which is honestly, we are doing it just so you have something to do on Saturday.
It is that. I know. It's very nice to have this.
No, but I get you. I think that to me, you see, like the difference between you and I is like, I don't have this idealized fantasy where people were going to call me and make plans. I put it upon myself to do that. And I'm like, okay, I got to create the plans that will make the Saturday work. And then I don't. And then I found myself in the same situation. So different paths, same outcome.
Yeah. No plans for today. I did make plans for tomorrow, but that's...
What are you doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm hanging out with a friend and we're going to go sit by the pool. And that sounds lovely.
That is the perfect plan, actually. So what have you been doing this week that is worthy of telling us in this podcast?
This week, I challenged myself to get through some new TV. Mm-hmm. And I went and saw a movie as well. Just trying to watch more movies and watch more TV. And I watched... Have you heard of My Old Ass? Oh, yeah, you have, because I texted you about it.
Yes, and they were playing it at the DGA with a Q&A. I think they were doing the same with the WGA. You went to the WGA screening here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was good. It was really funny.
It was good.
It was, I think, her second feature film. Megan Park is the writer and director. Very impressive that she wrote and directed it. She spoke about her writing process, and it was so refreshing. She said, I don't outline, I just write the movie. And she said, I didn't learn how to write. Like, she was an actor before, and she just kind of read a lot of scripts and taught herself. And it was nice and refreshing to see that she thought that the movie would have a lot of notes, that the title would change. She was like, oh, they're going to for sure change the title. Like, this is a ridiculous title. But no, like, I think it was Indian Paintbrush or one of the production companies that was like, no, the title works for us. And I was like, I love that. That's so nice.
That's such a nice story to hear. It's so counterintuitive because it never happens. Freedom and like intuition and not having the commercial title, but then making it anyway at work. It sounds like a rare gem on this world.
Yeah, it's a very cute coming of age film. I recommend it.
I want to check it out, and not outlining sounds terrifying to me. Yeah. Not having exactly the map where you're going to go. I have that experience before, and I found myself writing myself into corners because I couldn't really move the thing forward just because I didn't know what it was really. No. But I admire people that have that intuition, that they go and they do a bomb and draft. They start I don't know how you do it. Like you start putting one scene after the other and you have such an intuition of structure that you can go through it and it looks like a movie at the end.
I can sometimes do it. And to me, it's just the beats and the rhythm of the writing and the pacing. If you have the pacing and you know the scenes and you know the beats and the emotional moments you want to hit, it's really easy to just kind of like fill in the blanks with all the scenes you've created in your head. And sometimes I can pull it off, but sometimes it just is, you write yourself into corners, like you said.
Yeah. I would love to try it though. I think it's an exercise worth trying to connect with your creativity and your intuition, at least to create a ball-mid draft and see where that takes you. The thing is, I have such a limited window to work on these things in terms of time, but also in terms of like the effort I have to put to write. Like I have to sit down and I have to create a whole ritual around it so I can not procrastinate. That just using the time to do something that is ineffective, it sounds scary, but that's all again goes back to this crazy understanding of everything has to be streamlined and efficient. Just because my time is so limited because I'm not rich.
I get it. And the other thing that I did want to talk about briefly is the Nicole Kidman show on Netflix. You've heard?
I heard that there's a new Nicole Kidman show. I know that some people are talking about Nicole Kidman fatigue because she's in all the shows. I like her in some shows.
Specifically, Nicole Kidman, her rich women roles. She's only rich women roles. And this is another rich woman show.
She looks like $1 million.
Yeah, she's wearing a wig. And it's the wig, the sweater, the glass of wine, the rich family, and then the murder. Of course, there's a murder. But it is bananas. The writing is wild. The title sequence is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Apparently, the director on the last day of filming went up to all the actors and was like, "We're going to learn a dance." And this is going to
dance.
Be the
tell me more about that, because there's a little bit of a thing where actors were saying, tell me more about what actors were saying about this.
They were like, I don't want to do it. That doesn't make any sense. Like tonally, why would we be dancing? Why would that be the title sequence? So they all call their agents and their managers, and everyone's like, "No, we don't want to do it. We don't want to do it." And then one of the actors,
he's
mutiny.
Like,
do it. And so then everyone was like, "Okay, fine. I guess we'll do it." And they didn't want to learn the dance. They were struggling with learning the dance, and then they all just did it. And every time I got through the entire series, every time the title sequence would come on, I wanted to skip it, but then I would just watch it. And try to understand why no one said this is crazy. This is crazy. It's a dance sequence for a murder mystery show. Like, what doesn't make any sense?
Well, in Bollywood movies, regardless of the genre, I'm not an expert, but I had seen enough that I noticed this, like, regardless of the genre, Bollywood movie will end with a dance, and it's completely disconnected from the narrative, but it creates some weird, amazing, attractive spectacle you can't stop watching. Did that happen to you? Because it sounds like it was magnetic.
It was disturbing. It wasn't magnetic. It was disturbing. It really, really bothered me. She said, apparently the director, the attempt was to, like what you just said, like to create a surreal element that you just have to buy in. It's like, okay, you're about to watch something that is disconnected. Like you just have to buy into this world where these people are just dancing. These rich people are dancing and these other weird things are going to happen in the series. And you just have to be on board. But I don't know. That was a weird show.
So you don't, because everything you're saying sounds like I want to watch it because it's so weird, but I shouldn't watch it. That's what you're saying. So it's a no.
It's a no for me.
It's a Helen thumbs down.
It's a thumbs down for sure. There were amazing actors and they could have been great, but it was a flop.
Talking about this intuitions and writing, I promised you last time that I would bring to you my anti-procrastination writing protocol.
Oh, yeah.
What I want to do is I'm going to read, there's a very long list of things here. I want to read some to you, and then you are the professional writer of the two of us. I consider you a serious writer compared to me. And so I'm going to read you some of my conclusions, and you're going to tell me as a professional writer, what do you think? Okay? Your vision will be diffuse until you put pen to paper.
Diffused?
Diffuse and confusing and abstract until you put pen to paper.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
Do you agree? So it's a thumbs. This is very personal, so it wasn't meant to be shared, okay? So I don't want you to judge me. I wrote it in a way that it's, when you write your own journal and it's not meant for other people to read it. But I will show you.
Here we are.
Yeah. As painful as it is, iteration is the only way to arrive at the solution. So basically what I'm trying to say. Perfection is not a thing you can create, but you aspire to. So you iterate until you get to the solution.
Great.
Is that yes or is that no?
Yeah, that's a yes.
Oh my
for
God.
sure.
I'm going to jump. I'm going to give you another one. Timers help write. Put a 25-minute timer and don't get distracted.
I've heard this works for a lot of people. I've never done it.
You don't have time windows, Pomodoro techniques, nothing.
No, but it
You're
works
such a
for some
free
people,
thinker.
so that's great for you, you know?
That works for you, but it doesn't work for you. So you are more of an unstructured time. This is the day I do whatever I want and I'm going to get to the end line.
Yeah, I don't need.
You're going to love the next one. If your mind wanders, watch a fixed point for 40 seconds to induce tunnel vision.
That's weird. That's weird.
Have you ever done this? Do all professional writers look at a fixed point for 40 seconds to induce tunnel vision and get to writing?
No. That would be that. I don't think would work for me. I think it would mean you need to take a break. Your mind is wandering. Go take a break. Go take a 5-minute break. Come back.
It's more of a humanistic approach more a human than a robot. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 more.
All right.
Write the worst version as soon as possible.
Yeah, I like that as soon as possible. That's helpful for sure. Because you know it's going to be bad and that's the goal. Like, do it as quickly as you can. Yeah, that's a good one. That's probably.
I think it takes the pressure out because I feel that everything I'm writing, I have another one that is in that line. Everything I'm writing, so I'm going to read you this one that connects with that one. In the moment, everything you write will feel lazy, uninspired, and jumbled. Don't stop shoveling sand into the bucket. So it's cheesy, but like I think I stole this from someone else. Don't stop shoveling sand into a bucket so later you can build a castle.
Yes, that's cute. That's really cute.
Maybe it's Mark Duplass that I'm paraphrasing here.
He
has very inspirational quotes like this one.
I know. I follow him on Twitter. He's very encouraging and he's very real and honest. And I like his approach.
My dream would be to have him on the podcast. I think we're getting closer, right? We're not going to disclose anything right now in fears that may not happen, but let's just see. Okay. I think that covers the most controversial topics of my anti-procrastination protocol for writing, which I use. Sometimes I'm like so stuck that I go through this list and I try desperately to do some of the things. Do you have anything for me that you do? Any trick you can give me?
Yes. Procrastination, when it happens to me, I will just do whatever I can to get inspired. So I will go to the movies or I will watch one of my favorite shows or I will put like Broad City on to like remind me why I love writing. And it really does the trick. And even if it's like, you know how working on a new idea is more fun than working on the current project that you're working on?
Don't you have the best ideas when you're working on a previous idea?
Yeah. No, I will write. I will work on it. And if it makes me feel inspired, then it's perfect because then I can come back to the old project and feel better about it. So, yeah.
When that happens is crazy. Like you can wait for an idea to happen. And the best way to get ideas is just to work on something you're not sure that you want to work on. Okay. So what else do we have? I tell you what I have. I have an article that I wrote about AI and cinema. And I can tell you about an essay that I think you've seen, the Thomas Flight essay on acting, which was fascinating. Do you want to go to that one?
It was a very long essay.
Yeah, tell us what it is first, and then we can dive in.
I don't want to tell you what it is. I want you to tell me what it is. Because I watched the whole thing and I was like, what are we saying exactly? I don't know. It basically just broke down the techniques, like the method acting, what's the other one?
What kind of representational acting versus method, like more realistic, grounded acting and Stanislavski and all that stuff. But I think as a kind of like a summary of what it is, I think Thomas Flight is this kid that is an amazing writer of essays. And he has this beautiful essays that he puts online on YouTube where he covers different topics related with culture. And he has beautiful examples. It's very well edited. He's in this tradition of YouTube essays that you can find online now that are so cool. And we can talk more about that because I'm fascinated. It started 10 years ago, I think, with a channel called Every Frame a Painting. And I was doing my first feature back then. And because I didn't went to film school, that became kind of like the foundation for understanding the kind of cinematic language I wanted to use. And that channel sparkled a bunch of different people to create essays, which are kind of like accessible, but I think a little bit leaning into academic and intellectual, right? And Thomas Flight, I think, is one of the best of doing that. And in this essay, I think it's the transition between the style of acting that was done in the 30s, which is a kind of acting that feels playing to the tropes of the character and representing the ideas that the audience expects to see on a character, as opposed as contemporary acting, which is realistic. And this realism is trying to imitate life. You're trying to see a character, not an actor. So the actor disappears behind the character. And when he tries to capture that, and I think this connects to what you were saying before, he starts chasing the definition of method acting. Mm-hmm. And starts by saying, all right, the ideas that Stanislavski brought, which is the original creator of these theories, started to derive in different methods. And eventually he gets lost because it's not an exact science. And every actor in this play is interpreting these theories in a different way. And so it starts to get lost. And I think the essay gets a little bit lost towards the end. But it's fascinating to see that transition with examples. I think especially the beginning was great to see. The actors in the 30s were like exaggerated and theatrical, but kind of exciting too. I want your opinion because I found that kind of representation is attractive too, is interesting.
You know what I just realized? If you compare acting back then and just kind of the evolution of acting, compare it to the evolution of fashion. Everything back then was extravagant, big. And as time has progressed, we are all wearing jeans and a t-shirt. So it's just like over time, it's not necessarily that it's more simple, but yeah, it's just a little bit more naturalistic. But I wonder why,
It's very interesting. Do you long for a past of more flamboyant things?
No. I think when I was younger, I think I did. And I think there's probably an element of economics involved. But I think if I were in a different economic status, I could be like, sure, I have time, I have resources to be more flamboyant, to be bigger. But right now, it's like, no, I just want to get through the day. You know what I mean?
100%. And I have to say, felt that way. I'm a little older. I felt that way before I got a little bit more time and I got a little bit more resources in my life. I became a little bit more expressive with the way I dress and the way I carry myself. And I think it's exactly because of that. And I remember, it's crazy that you say this, because I remember vividly thinking the same thing when I was 30. I was living in Barcelona, no money. Everything was so expensive. Like not only clothing, but things that felt that could represent my personality, right? Like the kind of things that we surround ourselves with, from books to clothing to anything, even to how often you cut your hair, or how much time do you have to read a book and then have an interesting conversation about it. It doesn't have to be about material objects, but I felt like I don't have the resources to do anything else but to go through my day and get to the end alive and buy groceries and survive the week. So I completely relate. And I have to say, it got a little better when I had the privilege to make strides in my career and have a little bit more time and resources. And now it feels that it got closer to that. But I do think that kind of interesting shell is reserved sometimes for wealthy people that have time for leisure.
And I wonder if back then, was there more time on sets to deliver that theatrical performance? I don't think necessarily there was. I think it was still, do you think it was still as rushed as it is now on sets where you're just trying to make your day? Or do you think they had more time and that's why it was more fun, like more extravagant?
If it was about the time, but I do think that there was a clear differentiation between the audience and the celebrities. And the celebrities were this like figures that were in this Olympus that people would watch and have a fantasy about and try to escape the working class industrialized life on the developing countries that were doing movies. And I think there was this clear difference between the fantasy life of the celebrities and the movie stars and the people. And I do think that social media and access to information have flattened that. And so now, in a weird way, there's an authenticity token in celebrities where they have to signal that, no, I'm just like you. And that's what people want. People want to feel at the same place, wear the same clothing, have like the fantasy of that lifestyle. I think we're all trying to represent a lifestyle that is kind of like flamboyant and exciting on Instagram. And I think that is not reserved to celebrities anymore. It's in a weird way that fantasy contaminated the real life, and we're all trying or tasked or burdened with the idea of representing that success and that glamorous life. I think people went to the cinemas in the 30s, didn't even dream with that life. I don't think that was even a possibility. So I think there was a great incentive for movies to be larger than life and flamboyant, probably, and that was the place for dreams and glamour. And then I think, the 60s happened, and then everything became different. And probably after that, people started to be very cynical about things, and movies became more real and grounded. And you have all these revolutions in the late 60s and 70s that I think upended culture and changed everything. So I don't know. I would love to bring someone who really knows about these things to tell us about it, because I think there's a world there. But you can see it in the performances of the essay.
I know. It's an interesting essay for sure. It's an interesting video essay. And I think the only way you can understand what we just ranted about for 5 minutes is by watching that first.
Yeah, go watch it and tell us what you think. I want to also talk about something you brought up last time, which is this movie Wild Tales. So Wild Tales is an Argentine movie that directed by Cifrón, who's an Argentine director. It's called Relatos Salvajes in Spanish, and it was a big phenomenon. But it's an anthology film of 6 different pieces, and it talks about discontent, it talks about bureaucracy, all the things that people are upset about. But before I tell you I'll tell you a little bit about what I think about it and how I think it was felt in Argentina. I want to know your opinion, and not your opinion, but your perception. When did you hear it for the first time, and if you liked it, and what do you like about it?
What year did it come out? Like 2015?
Yeah.
2015. I mean,
let me see my notes.
2014. I brought it up to you because I was watching one of the interviews that we did with a director named Nina Kramer, and it came up in conversation. I don't remember how, but it reminded me how much I loved that film and how much it just solidified. I think 2014 and 2015 was when I was trying to figure out what to do career-wise, and it just solidified, like, okay, I definitely want to get into film and I want to create things like this. And it was so over the top but it was also grounded in a way. It was things that you think about, things that you've talked about, with things you've seen in your family, but still just so absurd. And it just provoked a lot of feelings, and each one of them was so good that I think it deserves all of the accolades that it received. And I want to hear your thoughts, because in that interview with Nina, you had mentioned something about your theory on why it was successful. And I was like, maybe because it was good, Nico? Maybe because it was good?
But for sure, I would say it was very celebrated and it connected with people. I don't know if it's, without qualifying it as good or not, I would say I definitely agree that it connected with people. I think it connects with the sensibility of the times. But before I tell you about it, I want to put it in context. So Wild Tales, Relatos Salvajes is, I think, the 8th nomination for the Oscars from Argentina. Argentina has like a long tradition of cinema coming all the way back to the 30s. And we had like 8 nominations to Oscars. One was The Official Story, the other was La Historia Oficial, and the other was The Secret in Their Eyes is in English, El Secreto de sus Ojos, de Campanella. La Historia Oficial es de Luis Puenzo. So the interesting thing I feel about this is that we are living through times, and I will go back to the film, but I think we're living through times right now in Argentina that are very special. I think you probably heard in the news that we have for the last 6 months, we had a new president, Javier Milei, made very quickly the news around the world for being flamboyant, crazy, and also friends with people of the likes of Elon Musk and other authoritarian, crazy people. He defines himself as a libertarian. I would define him as a post-human, techno, crazy libertarian, in that I think he believes the markets are more important than people. And do you know the fun fact about the Milei dogs? Have you heard that story?
The what dogs?
His dog that died?
No.
Okay, so this will inform the character and land on the right place. This is way before he was a president. He has this very close relationship to his dog. And we know the name of the dog is a public knowledge. His dog was called Conan. And Conan is dying. And Javier, who feels that the dog represents a lot for him and has been an important part of his life, decides to clone him. So he sends, I think after Conan dies, he sends part of Conan to a company in the US that creates 4 copies of Conan. In addition to this, he starts working with an interspecies medium. It's a medium that helps you talk to your pet that passed away. And so through these conversations, Conan, who's in heaven now, tells Javier that the duty and the destiny of saving Argentina by becoming the president. And he manages to do that. By the way, all this is public knowledge prior to the election. People know this, but the people in Argentina are so upset that they go like, fuck it, give me the crazy guy. It's fine. It's going to be fine. Just like, let's go with extreme. I want the guy who talks to his dog. So we elect him president. Perhaps Conan has said among the instructions that gives Javier that Argentina's cinema should be defunded, because that's one of the things that he's more adamant about. So Milei, who's right wing in every social aspect, considers the Argentine film industry a platform for the left, kind of like a propaganda machine for the left in Argentina. And so he's very adamant about not having any subsidies for movies. This is a tension in Argentina because Argentine cinema, it's possible, and movies like Wild Tales are possible because of subsidies, right? It's very hard for peripheral countries to compete with American distribution companies, with film studios, with streaming companies, without having something that could sustain an industry locally. So many industries are subsidized, including the American industry, if you think about the tax incentives that people get in places like Atlanta. Mm-hmm. But in Argentina, the right wing sees this as a platform for the left and propaganda, brainwashing the minds of young people. And so is hell-bent on destroying the incentives that make the Argentine cinema possible. Now, the underlying, of course, there's always a story that is ideological, but underneath that, there's an economical incentive to make that happen. So what is it, the economical incentive to make the film industry in Argentina go away? The subsidies in Argentina are not taken from tax. So people are not taxed to make the movies happen. And this is sometimes a misunderstanding that even Argentines have, is that they're paying with their taxes the movies that they may not like and they see being made. The truth is, like the INCA, which is the organism that helps finance films in Argentina, is financed by taxes put on tickets sold to movies from American movies and streaming services. So basically, the corporations, the American corporations and international corporations are paying a part of the films that are created at a local level. So people are not putting money out of their pocket. Mm-hmm. This whole thing is to say, I feel like there's an experimental quality in a movie like Wild Tales, right? With this idea of an anthology and the fact that everything is so specific and it talks to such a, I would say, discontent and channels this anger of the times that I feel is only possible within an industry that subsidizes little weirder films, right? And once in a while, in a subsidized industry, you get these gems like Wild Tales, right? Where may not fit the mold of a traditional movie, but it is something that is exciting to see and eventually can become the highest grossing movie of all times, I think, in Argentina. That's the beauty of the system that we had, and it's disappearing. So I think that it's good to put it in context, because I'm not sure that will be other Wild Tales and, other Helens will be inspired by those movies that we're creating. And it's very sad. Yeah, it is very sad. But you had a whole thing about, like, in the interview, you had mentioned that you had a theory on why it was successful. Yeah, and and I think this is ironic. This is a personal theory now, right? The reason I think Wild Tales is successful, and Wild Tales is a movie about the everyday person upset and angry with the system, right? And the system is represented in the state bureaucracy, is represented in the way that we relate to each other, the violence that is inherent in our culture right now, and the discontent that people feel. And you see this in all elections and how everything is so polarized, right? That same discontent that make that movie successful, I think, fuel the rise of Milei. This is the kind of mentality, and I'm not complaining about it. I think that when you have a discontent in people, you can channel it in a good way, right? Or you can channel it in a bad way. And I think this is an example of a bad way of channeling discontent, because he has captured the representation of that discontent in a political platform. And you see this here in the US as well, when you see the last debate, right? Trump is all about grievances. It's all about trying to channel fear and anger and discontent, which is real. And it would be ridiculous to say that it's not. But then it's channeling it for political advantage. So in a weird way, the discontent that makes that movie so attractive, I think it just makes the rise of the right possible. But this is
Yeah.
It's kind of like a hot take. I don't know if you would agree.
Do you know much about Damian Cifrón? Like what were his politics back then?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think Cifrón is very political in his positions. I don't know him very well. I think that for sure he's not reactionary. I don't think he comes from a clear ideological perspective, but he's Argentine, and Argentines are very upset all the time. We are very upset all the time, and I think it's a cultural thing, but also it's a very tough country. It's a country with huge potential that is very frustrating because that potential never seems to be fulfilled in the short term. Although I think that it's a very self-critical society, that when you have the experience of living in other countries like I did and living now in America, you go back and you say, well, it's not that bad. Like, honestly, like, you're seeing the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. I think Argentina has amazing things going for it. With all its trouble, with all its problems, I think Argentina is always incredibly successful at creating culture and being relevant. And that's surprising and beautiful, I think. But I would say Cifrón doesn't have a very clear ideological leaning. He's a veteran of TV and entertainment. He had like a TV show that was very successful. And then he does this is his passion project. And I don't think that he thinks that it's going to get out of hand as it does. Like, the movie catches fire and everybody around the world loves it. It becomes the highest grossing movie of all times. And it's not clearly identified with the right or a reactionary group. It's not. It's just, this is my own take. Sure. But I think that there's an underlying current of that discontent, that I identify.
Yeah. There's been a lot of times in the US, that media gets used by the right and it wasn't the intention of the film. So yeah, I get that.
It's interesting how, like, I think it happened with Joker, right? The same thing. You never know.
I know.
What is the audience for your film?
Yeah, and the sequel to that is coming out soon, and it's already creating a lot of controversy. Is it because they went off the script, right? They went off the script, and it's not really gotten a lot of. It's completely different from the actual thing it's based on, right?
I don't know, but I read a couple of things that lead me to think that they tried. What is the name of the director? Todd Phillips.
Yeah,
I think was caught off guard with this whole movement that was created around the movie that he did. I don't think it was his intention to become an emblem of that kind of like outright reactionary group. And I think that what he's trying to do with the second one, and I haven't seen it, nobody does. I mean, except if you have been in Venice, I think some people saw it there as the premiere. I think what he's trying to do is just give a middle finger to his own audience or his own fans of the first one, which is this toxic fandom and this idea, these groups that are reactionary and expressing themselves so vividly in so many places around this superhero movies. For some reason, superhero movies galvanize that kind of like wild reactionary groups.
Isn't it like rooted in white nationalism?
I think it's more...
I don't know.
But you would be surprised. I think there's a lot of people of color. I would say it's more of male grievances. I think it's our own wounded egos that are driving this. I think that just saying white nationalists ignores that there's a lot of kids that are people of, they're
no, totally. I think
kids that are fascinated with this shit. I think it's a sad thing because I think that a lot of kids feel left out and they feel out of the loop on what is happening and rejected by the mainstream. They don't understand that they have a place in the narrative, or maybe they can find one, and then they become reactionary and react against everything that they feel is woke.
I definitely forgot about the kids in the whole superhero world of it all. But if someone was like, Nico, we want to give you a ginormous budget to go make a superhero film about male grievances, would you say yes?
Are you kidding me? I would love that. I mean, have you seen The Boys?
I was going to say it's The Boys, essentially.
It's The Boys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like it? Do you like that show?
I really like The Boys. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like that? Is the new season any good?
I haven't seen the new season. I think I stopped at season 2. How many seasons are there?
I don't know. I think 3 probably.
3.
Don't you feel that sometimes the thing that is set to satire becomes the thing in The Boys? Meaning the satire about all the things we were discussing before sometimes becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy and it's the thing that they're showing. Like, it's not an irony anymore. It becomes the thing. Isn't that a little like
it's crazy?
thin line?
It's insane. Sometimes like things that, TV makes up is what happens in real life. It's wild to me. It's crazy. I'm like, did you guys have a crystal ball that you could see the future? Like, how in the world did you guys predict this? It's crazy.
All right. Do you think this is a good place to leave it?
Yeah.
And let you enjoy your Saturday?
My Saturday of doing nothing? No.
Doing nothing?
It's perfect. It's a perfect time. I think we'll touch base next weekend and we'll keep, talking about our current episode that's out now with Gabriela. So you should go watch it.
It's a great episode. And please go, if you're watching this, go watch it. You're going to love it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be traveling to Lisbon to visit my brother. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do, I guess, Proof of Life Lisbon special next time we see each other.
Ooh, I can't wait. Awesome.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.